Did you know that only 20% of theatrical film directors are people of color and 1.5 out of 10 directors are women? According to UCLA's Hollywood Diversity Report on the top theatrical releases of 2024, the data shows just how lacking in diversity Hollywood really is. Hi, I'm Miranda. I recently released a short film called The Rescripting of Magnolia Roots, a fictional story about an Asian American high school girl who is navigating her future and dealing with expectations from her parents. This was my biggest project yet, and I created it to inspire more young Asian women to pursue filmmaking. The Rescripting of Magnolia Roots explores the pressure many Asian American teens and other teens face to follow traditional career paths and the courage to choose something different and pave your own road. It is a way of saying that careers in medicine and law are amazing, of course, but there are so many other options out there. The Rescripting of Magnolia Roots symbolizes rewriting your own story and connecting it to your foundation or roots, whether it be your heritage, values, or community. I also chose to include the word magnolia in the title because it is a flower that originates from Asia and represents perseverance and dignity. Now, let's hear from cast and crew on why diversity in the film industry is important to them. Why is representation and diversity in the film industry important to you?
Okay, not from the film industry, but there's a musical on Broadway right now, and it's called Maybe Happy Ending, and it's a musical about Korean people and like robots and stuff. And the lead characters are Korean, and recently the male lead had his term ended, and they were searching for an actor to replace him, and they replaced him with Andrew B. Feldman, I think that's his name, and he's white. And that created a lot of controversy because he's supposed to be Korean, doesn't really make sense. And he eventually left because of how much hate he got. And I just think that there's not a lot of Asians at all in like musical theater or like film, and I feel like it's really important to put our voice out there.
Diversity and stuff is important in any industry. It doesn't really have to be film specifically, but just if you want more people to participate in something, I think it's important to represent them, or else they won't feel motivated to join.
I believe that representation is really important because it allows myself and future generations of young girls to have someone to look up to and see someone who looks like them on screen. And it just allows numerous opportunities in the film industry to open up for women.
As an Asian woman and film enthusiast, I've always wanted to see more people who look like me on the big screen. Hollywood often sticks to the same stories and the same faces, and growing up, the only movies I ever really saw that had Asian women as leads were Mulan and Crazy Rich Asians. Diversity and minority representation both in front of the camera as actors and behind the camera as directors, writers, producers, etc. is so important because it reflects reality by showing a more accurate image of what society actually looks like. And it's crucial for empathy. When you see stories about different types of people, you get a better understanding of their own experiences and cultures, even if they differ from yours. What are some common stereotypes or tropes you've noticed in the portrayal of Asian women in media that you don't think are accurate? I feel like in recent movies, the portrayals of Asian women aren't really inaccurate, but they are limited to a specific personality type or kind of idea of what they are. In mainstream media, in American movies and shows made for teens, love interests of Asian leads are either not Asian or they're mixed, but they're never really fully Asian, and I really want to see that in the future for sure.
In fighting movies, like Mortal Kombat, we're always wearing like traditional like Chinese clothing, and we always have chopsticks in our hair, and we always have an accent, and like space buns, and it's just like, oh yeah, or like dyed streak. They have dyed hair or whatever, and they're like really skilled with fans or swords, and they always like, oh yeah, in my culture, blah 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 blah.
How do you think this lack of diverse representation affects Asian women and other minorities on how they see themselves and their identities?
Underrepresentation in the film industry can have a huge effect on how minorities view themselves and their cultures, because I think seeing someone that is experiencing the same thing as you through a film like this one, especially Asian women with this film, can really help them, feel like they're not alone in their situation. And I think it can give them more courage, and especially when it comes to, your pressure to go into a specific profession, by your parents, but you actually want to do something else. It's completely different. And I think that this film specifically and other films that, involve minorities in powerful situations can create a lot of courage in minorities.
Well, for me, when I was younger, I wouldn't really see like Asians up on television, and I really want to be an actor. And I thought I was very discouraged by it, and I thought like, oh, industries don't want Asian women, but it's really not the case. I feel like there's a lot more now, thankfully. But yeah, it could be really discouraging and stuff.
Well, I think the lack of representation obviously like will make people unmotivated to try because they're not represented enough, but also I think the misrepresentation is arguably more damaging, because the more you depict Asian people as this sort of demure, like overly intellectual, like really successful model minority of people, like the more pressure they'll feel to kind of stick to that and not try to branch out into anything that they actually want to do.
How can film be used as a tool to promote understanding and empathy between different cultures and communities?
Film tells so many stories, and I think to build empathy, to see someone's story in their real life, their real life perspective and how they face certain dilemmas and face certain problems creates a lot of empathy, and I think film is a great way to do so.
What changes would you like to see in the film industry regarding the representation of Asian women?
I would like to see representation lean more towards authenticity rather than being confined to the stereotypes that were held in previous movies. And as an aspiring screenwriter, I look forward to seeing more women in the film industry, not just as actors, but as screenwriters and as people behind the camera, because I want to be able to relate my story to theirs and collaborate with them.
There's a lot of movies where it's like, oh, I have to stay to my culture, and it's just I want just like a regular movie. Think like a rom-com, but like the main character's not white and she's Asian. I feel like most Asian actors that like portray that like are Asian in the films, it's always relating to our culture. I just want to see more movies outside of that.
Honestly, I think there's already, like, at this point, an okay, not as good as I'd like it to be, but there's an okay amount of representation for Asian women. I just think that the types of representation need to be broadened to have more character traits aside from just being like just the token Asian friend.
What advice would you give to young girls who are interested in pursuing a career in film? I know it might seem really scary to try something new, but honestly, the best advice I have for you is just to go for it. If you have something that you're really interested in and you want to try it, whether it be a future in the movie industry or really any other career path, if you never try, you might be missing out on an entire world of other opportunities that you could end up loving. If you already know that you want to work in the film industry, but you don't really know where to start, my biggest tip for you is just, if you have an idea, to just roll with it and finish it until you have an end product. Even if you don't like that finished product and you don't think it seems good, it's great practice for when you actually end up going into the industry. And for some quick guidance, I have a how to make a short film for $0 video. Please take a look at that, and also my short film, The Rescripting of Magnolia Roots.
Be who you are for your pride. I believe in you.